And as we were talking about the end of the world, and then it's in Advent, this first Sunday of Advent, and we think about the end of the world. Is this the end of the world? Some people cannot believe that it's the end of the world. I don't think so. I think we are simply at the end of the 5th age. Because you have too many things to fit in before the end of the world. For the end of the world to be at the corner of 2012. You still have to fit in Peter II. You still have to put the painting of a Pope in the last medallion of St. Paul outside of the walls. And that Pope, says St. Malachi, is going to be a good one, steering the church through many tribulations and being put to death in the end. You still have to fit in the conversion of the Jews somewhere. Where is the conversion of the Jews? Do we see it happening? Right now, they don't seem to be very eager to convert. They seem to be very eager to do the reverse. They don't want to hear about them converting. And you have to fit in the consecration of Russia by the Holy Father. It has not happened. Russia has not converted. You still have to fit in the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So it has to happen somewhere. So it seems, it's my private theory, that there was a reprieve under the Maccabees, a great triumph under the Maccabees. You read the book of Maccabees, it's a complete triumph of justice over iniquity. So it's a second apogee, the second peak of the Old Testament. There will be a second peak also of Christianity in the New Testament, which will be kind of an age of Our Lady. Under the 6th age of the Church, that's my guess, the age of Philadelphia. So this has to fit in. And also there are other private revelations talking about a great monarch, a great restoration at the hands of a great Pope. So those things have to be fit in somewhere. That's why I can't think that it's the end of the world. Another reason of convenience, it doesn't mean what it says in English, but it fits also. Well, we see the people out there, they are like the people of the city of Nineveh. They don't distinguish their right hand from their left hand. They are in complete state of ignorance. Some people are wicked, yes. But many people that you cross in the street have been deceived. Or are completely ignorant of the way of salvation. And so it's more out of ignorance that they do what they do than out of malice. Just like God told to Jonas that these people don't know what the law is, so you had to give them some reprieve, and you have to fit in. And as St. Paul says in Thessalonians, the end of the world does not happen until the real Antichrist arrives, a real person that makes himself being worshipped. Now there is a similar situation in Rome, whereas as Pius XII tells us that they have occupied the throne of Peter. But does Benedict XVI get there and makes himself worshipped like Jesus Christ? I don't think so. Does he say heresies from his throne? Yes. But does he get himself worshipped as Jesus Christ on his throne? No. And also the natural catastrophes. They are different from the years past. The earthquakes, the tsunamis, the disturbance of the climate, the weird tornado that was just happened in Malacca, which is very near from here. Tornadoes never happened in Malacca before. For the first time in recorded history, we have a tornado in Malacca. That's very weird, that's very freak. But is that a catastrophe that kills millions of people, natural catastrophe? No. Now, those catastrophes, I agree, are of a different order than in the past. For instance, Japan has been crippled, and it's crippled for a long time, for decades, it's going to be crippled by this tsunami, by the economic consequences of the tsunami. And also, this place is forever cursed in a way, because it's all full of cesium and uranium, and we are guessing that the fuel has gone underground. And that's why the place is still infected, and it's going to stay that way for a long time. So it's a massive, big curse. But is this the end of time? I wouldn't say so. There is no need for us to say that it's the end of time. Is there going to be a correction of the human race? Yes. There is now a need of a great correction of the human race. So there's going to be, I believe, a chastisement. Just like World War I and World War II was a chastisement. And we see, the tempers are rising everywhere, more wars everywhere, more tension between the two blocks, the Russia and China, and Russia allied with Iran, with some crazy Islamists, and Russia and Syria, and the American and the free world. These two blocks are losing their temper. Tensions are rising. We have a running up. It feels like the years before World War I or the years before World War II. Now, what's happening? The blasphemies that are happening today, the blasphemies of the Great Babylon, the blasphemies of Madonna, Lady Gaga, and all the other today's popular singers, and the pornography, the flood of pornography. When I was in a boat in Bohol, from Ormoc to Cebu, they played those popular singers, and they showed the video clips one after the other. It was all pornography. It was almost complete outright pornography, and all the people on the boat were watching. Now, so the people are getting really infected. So there is a need of a correction of the human race, comparable to the time of Noah. So we have some rehearsal, I would say, of the end of times. But I believe, I hope, that there is going to be a great reprieve, as our Lord is promised. And what's also very interesting about divine promise, when God makes a divine promise, He makes a promise, and then He lets the chain of events happen in such a wise that it doesn't seem believable that the promise is going to happen. It seems that the opposite of God's promise is going to happen. There's going to be no triumph of Our Lady, that the things are completely hopeless, there is nothing in place for the triumph of Our Lady. Whereas, even today you can see things somehow are getting into place in Russia proper. That even though they are schismatics and most of the Russian population is bad, you see the Russian government attending Holy Week 4 hours standing on national TV. Now, that's rare and precious. Because they do the right thing on the natural order. It's a wrong religion, but they do the right thing. And there is a sense that things are changing in Russia to some extent. There is some preparation. There is a disposition which is getting there in Russia. And one of our faithful, Polish faithful told me, east of the Oder River, people are sinners, yes, but they are no liberals. The fact that we are sinners is nothing new. But the fact that we call what is evil good and what is good is evil, that's liberalism, and that's new, that's our time. And then this Polish gentleman told me, east of the Oder River, we are not liberals, we are just sinners. And schismatics, further, So there is a disposition. If you are not a liberal, then God can work with you. There is some space in which God can land. So you can see but our times also are comparable to the times earlier, the times of the patriarch, the time of patriarch Noah. So we have, like Noah, we got a promise something is going to happen. It's very unlikely with human eyes. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Like Noah, God tells Noah, Noah, I'm going to wipe out the human race because they're all sinners, right? And then you're going to build me an ark, right? And then you're going to build it in the middle of the land, right? Okay, you're going to find some wood and some tar and everything, right? And then you call all the animals in the ark, right? All right, Noah, you're going to have to explain all this to your wife. Noah wouldn't say anything because he knew that he was going to have a really hard time. And for 200 years or more, Noah was the laughing stock of everybody. Say, hey Noah, you know the coast is over there. You know, I think you've got the wrong spot for your for your boat. You know, hey Noah, it's raining. You know, why don't you get into your boat and escape the flood? You know. Hey Noah, I've got my cat in there. Can you board your ark when it's gonna rain? And then in the newspapers and then, you know, on the Twitter and YouTube and everything, and people would come to see what Noah was doing. And so our struggle today is a struggle of the faith. That we truly are confident that God is going to set right all things very soon. He's going to set right the papacy. He's going to set right whatever iniquity, you know, this huge iniquity happening in Rome, is going to be set right entirely by God. And so let us continue to believe in the Fatima solution. Let us continue to believe the Queen of Prophets. She knows what she is talking about, because this age is devoted to her. The dark age is the age of the great darkness, because she is the moon that presides over the night. The moon in Genesis, the moon was created to preside over the night, just like the sun presides over the day. So there was a triumph of Christ in a great time of the Catholic Church. That was the time of the day. But in a time of confusion, in a time when everything looks so hopeless and desperate, we have this refuge of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So live your spirit of consecration truly to our Blessed Mother by dwelling in her heart and by allowing her to dwell within your heart. Because there is an immense consolation to be derived from her meekness, from the gentleness. Because she's, as Fulton Sheen says, we are so inclined to distrust God that God created Our Lady to remove the distrust or the fear, you know, the terror of our age, the confusion of our age. So a woman, you know, who is full of meekness and weakness for her child. A woman is more easily trusted than a man, you know, with a beard and a majesty and miracles, and we know he's going to show up at the Last Judgment and he's going to judge the living and the dead. Whereas Our Lady is not going to judge the living and the dead. All she's capable of is to show mercy and to comfort us. Never has she called divine justice on anyone. She simply says, it's hard for me to hold the arm of my son. And that's why she is precisely for our age which is so terribly confused. There is so much confusion around us. And that's why nothing is more beautiful than to give her a triumph. A triumph, because a triumph is no triumph if it is not against all odds. So the more it is dark, I would say, the more we have the certainty that the triumph of Our Lady is going to be more beautiful. Like a military victory is all the more beautiful when it is achieved against all odds. And this will be truly the triumph of our Blessed Mother. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.